Welcome to Tracy Hittman Nutrition's video on making bone broth. This is my mom Lori, and she's going to help me demonstrate how to make bone broth while I do the commentary. The first question you may have is, why should I make bone broth anyway? Well, there's two simple reasons to remember. The first one is, we need to eat the whole animal. These days, most of us just eat the muscle meat. Muscle meat is, for example, steak, chicken, and turkey breast. We forget that all primitive cultures around the world would eat the whole animal. That means they would always accompany bone broth while intaking muscle meat. Whether it was fish head soup or bison bone broth, traditional cultures knew it was very important to balance the amino acids found in collagen and connective tissue with the muscle meat. What makes bone broth unique is that it is very high in gelatin, which contains large amounts of glycine and proline, two amino acids that are very anti-inflammatory. This is why it is so important to consume broth, because if you have too much muscle meat in your diet, that can be inflammatory. Okay, we are now going to get started, and as we go along, I will explain the second reason why bone broth is important. The first thing that you're going to need are some bones, or some sort of other animal parts like chicken necks or feet. Today we are going to use bones left over from our pasture-fed turkey, and some extra oxtail bones. Oxtail bones seem to have a lot of gelatin in them, so I often use them in combination with chicken and turkey bones. You can also use marrow bones, or you could use knuckle bones. Both of these types of bones seem to be very high in gelatin content. You can either make broth in a stock pot, or you can make broth in a roasting oven. What is nice about the roasting oven is that you are able to leave the house and not have to worry about leaving a burner on. So now my mom is going to add the bones to the roasting pot. So these are the chicken bones from our Thanksgiving turkey, turkey bones. And next she's going to add the oxtail. And after adding the oxtail, she is going to add 5 quarts of filtered water. This is 1 quart for every pound of bones. And we have about 5 pounds of bones. If you are using a larger stock pot or a larger roasting oven and have more than 5 pounds of bones, you just add 1 quart of water for every pound of bones. So it takes a while to add all the water here, so she's going to finish doing that. And after she's done adding the water, she's going to add some vinegar or orange juice to the recipe. Today we're using Bragg's Organic apple cider vinegar, and we're using about 1/4 of a cup. So she's going to add that to the recipe. The reason why this is so important is because it helps pull the minerals out of the bones, because of course vinegar is very acidic. So the acidity is going to pull minerals like magnesium, calcium, and potassium out of the bones and put them into the broth. And this is the second reason why it is very important to consume bone broth, because it's high in minerals. Now she's going to turn the roasting oven to the highest temperature until the broth starts to boil. On the roasting oven, that is going to be about
450 degrees.
Okay. And after it boils, she's going to take it down to a simmer. So you would put the cover on and bring it to a boil, and then pull it down after it boils to a simmer at about
275 degrees on this roaster oven. Or on the stove, it would be between a 3 and a 5.
And you are going to allow the broth to simmer for 4 to 24 hours. When the broth is ready, you are going to separate the bones from the broth using a colander. So you'll put the bones in the colander and the broth will fall through, and the broth that you've collected you're going to put in the refrigerator until the fat rises to the top. What you are then going to do is skim the fat and throw the fat away. And there you should actually have gelatin broth. Some bones work better than others, but in the end you should have a very thick bone broth that looks like this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. This is what good high quality gelatin broth looks like. It's very thick like Jell-O. Okay. If your broth is not thick, there could be a couple problems. You may have added too much water, or you did not simmer it at a high enough temperature. But please do not discard this broth because it is high in minerals and great for soups and stews. Now that thick broth, the gelatin broth, you can heat up and you can have a cup, and by adding a little bit of sea salt and some coconut oil or butter, it's actually really tasty to have as a relaxing part of your day. The bone broth will stay good in your refrigerator for up to a week. I freeze my broth and pull it out whenever I'm making soups or stews, or even if I just want a cup like my mom is drinking right now. You can also use the same bones one more time using the same process with a little less water. So you're going to get 2 batches of broth. Try to enjoy at least 12 ounces of broth each day to help reduce inflammation and add minerals to your diet. For more information, please log on to my website at www.itsyourplate.com for great recipes and ideas on how to change what's on your plate in order to change your life. Thanks for tuning in today, and thank you to my mom for helping me out.